Hello, guys. Welcome to and welcome back. I'm So Ronica, and I'm so ready to remind you to sow into your future. So, here on today's episode of Sow into Your Future, y'all, I'm doing a movie review. Now, I know I've only done a couple of these, maybe three or four at the most, but I got to do this one because I seen a movie with Kiki and SZA. Is that how you say her name? SZA? Anyway, so I seen a movie with them too on Netflix. And I was blown away by it because at first I was like, I'm not going to the movie theater to go see no corny, overacting, that's what I was thinking. But y'all, when it's at my disposal because it's on my remote control, I gotta click it. Okay. So I feel bad and I owe them, well, I don't really owe them an apology, but somebody put their foot in that movie, y'all. When I say somebody put their foot in that movie, they did they darn thing. Okay, now to start it off with Kiki's hair being undone, I can't think of a movie. Now I know we seen R. Kelly back in what was it, the early 2000s. He did that one video and his hair was half braided. And I was like, okay, that's real. That's real, real YN stuff or whatever they say. Um, it was an accurate depiction of our culture. Sometimes you're gonna have to run to Walmart with your hair half braided. Sometimes you're gonna have to go and go pick up your kids with your wig lopsided. Anyway, so that was kudos to that. That's when my like antennas started perking up, and I was like, wait a minute, this might just be a good movie. And so, and I thought that SZA, I'm not a fan of SZA, as y'all can clearly hear and see. Well, maybe y'all can't see because, I look so young. But I am not, what I'm saying? SZA is after my generation. That's for the young folks. That's for my kids, my childrens. But yeah, so I couldn't tell you one song she sang. And when I glanced at the TV when they was at the Super Bowl and she came out with old what's his face, I was like, what is she? Who is what? So I was just thinking that that she was in it for because she had maybe a huge fan base or something, and they want people to see the movie, obviously. But I didn't realize the girl could actually act. She did her thing. Now I really don't know if she's acting because I don't know how she is in real life. Some people, I don't want to say no names, but Ice Cube, his facial expressions do not change. So when he's in a movie, it's like, okay, he's in there because he didn't you know, because he's the producer or the owner or whatever. Anyway, so SZA did her thing. Now, Cat Williams' part, I was like, is he a crazy man? Is he homeless? Like, what is he? But I like that he was, again, dropping gems and giving real warning for people to take heed to because those payday loans, I ain't never had them, but I know people who had them. And it's like trying to get gum off your hand with tape. Okay, that's not really a good analogy. But it's like, you just climbing out of a hole and digging yourself into a deeper one. Them people, y'all, my grandma had so many of them things. And I was like, what in the world? Not my grandma on my mama's side. My grandma was somewhere else. Somewhere else, a different grandma. I don't want to put her business out there in the streets, honey, because no matter how old she is, she'll still go upside my head if need be. But yeah, so Cat Williams was dropping gems about the payday loan place. Okay. They look like they're a solution, but they really not. They part of the problem in the hood. And then I like that come on now. I like that Kiki's love interest was actually fine. Okay, I can say that. He was fine as a young man. He was fine. Because usually they give them some old feminized, look like they might not even enjoy the kissing scene part. Now, I didn't even see them kiss in this movie. I don't know, maybe they did. But you know what I'm saying? Usually they give him some feminized man that it's like, oh, y'all forcing him to pretend like he like women. But that dude, he wasn't giving off that. He was giving off really in the hood. You see him at the ice cream truck, you gonna do a double take yourself. Okay. So I was like, wow. And then I ain't gonna lie, I had him prejudged. When that little axe came from under the seat, I was like, ooh. I was like, get out, run, you know. And I assumed that he was selling too. Now, did the movie tell us that he wasn't selling? No. It told us that he had a legitimate job at the end, but did it tell us that he wasn't selling? Because how you got a Benz, bro? Anyway, whatever. Forget I said anything. You can have that occupation and you can still have a Benz. My husband retired from the such and such, and he has two BMWs. So I get it. Now, what else about the movie stood out? My goodness. Okay, old girl climbing the pole out of desperation to get some shoes. If you haven't seen the you know what I'm saying, I'm sorry, spoiler alert. I'll put that at the beginning. But yeah, I'm afraid of heights. Look, I'm stuttering just thinking about climbing a pole to get some shoes. You know what I'm saying, one of those telephone poles. Anyway, flashbacks. So yeah, so she climbed that pole, and I'm just like, I know that they do have a lot of cool shoes, and I know there's sneakerheads out there, and they'll pay what you ask for some old original gangster Nikes or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a sneakerhead. As long as they're cute, and I prefer a chunky sole. You know what I'm saying? A chunky sole tennis shoe. I don't know the difference really between the running shoes, you know what I'm saying? Just give me a tennis shoe. Okay. But yeah, so she did that. No boy was willing to pay for that. I was like, now that's a real solution that you can run across in the hood. Sometimes with these movies, they have stuff that's so far fetched. You're like, yeah, this is not gonna happen. This would never happen in the hood, you know. But every scenario was right on point. Kudos to the producer, kudos to the writer, kudos to the one who sees the vision and puts it all together. I guess that's the director. I don't know. But everything about that movie was like, I was up at like what, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning watching it and then rewatched it. Who does that at that time of night or morning? And I was like, this movie was really good. I was really cracking up. Now, an old crazy boy, it's a crazy one. It's a antagonist in every movie. But in order for it to be a good story, it has to be one. I get it. But he really looked crazy. Looked like he really got some bodies under his belt. Okay. And I don't want to prejudge because I got two black sons, y'all. Sometimes they can look like, you know what I'm saying, like the king of the hood. And they can just be the sweetest, most kindest, gentlest. Ain't had a fight. Okay. That's my boys. Ain't had a fight. I don't even know if they got hands. But yeah, but people still, in society, they like, oh, these tall, looming figures or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, shout out to all the black moms who worry about their sons. I get it. But yeah, so old boy, he was really crazy. She was like, you not finna. And he went ahead and fired it off. And she was like, wow, you about to. So sometimes, I'm just gonna keep it real. Sometimes Kiki can come across as trying too hard. That's just what I feel about, you know what I'm saying? My little pea brain. And I understand that she's very talented. She's been doing it since she was a kid, you know what I'm saying? Child actor, actress. Um, but sometimes her style of comedy or listening to her can just be a bit much. And so it's almost like relax, breathe in. She needs to get a little bit of like a teaspoon of that. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to be all right regardless. It feels like she's constantly on a 10. Does that make sense? So that's why I didn't really want to watch it. I had seen some movie that she had did, and it was just like, after a while, it's just like with these videos, with my videos, it's like first impressions are everything. People are only going to give you so many tries before they like, you know what, maybe this just, when I see her name, maybe I'm just not going to, you know what I'm saying? So I was at that point with the last thing that I seen that she did. That's why you can't just say yes to everything. Some things you got to look at it, read the script, and just slide it right back across the table. Be like, this is for somebody else. If you can't really pour your everything and relate to that character and be able to give justice to that character, then you shouldn't do it. Sure, it's a money grab. Sure, you'll be able to, you know what I'm saying, get a new house or a new car after that movie. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to say you're more relevant, do a press tour, press run, but you're weakening your audience with these lame, whack, money grab. And I'm not talking about Kiki no more. Now I'm thinking about a whole bunch of other celebrities that do the money grab. But yeah, because your fan base is like, that's like Martin Lawrence. I think once he did Blue Streak, I was like, this ain't funny, bro. And then he did that movie with the like some swords or some knights or something. I actually went to the movie theater to see that and zoned out while I was in the movie theater. I was like, wait a minute, Martin, was the money worth it? Because I can't see myself going to the theater no more on your behalf, bro. Now I will go see Martin Lawrence do some stand up. I sure will. And I will stand up and give him a standing ovation because he is forever an icon in our culture. Okay, most of my bad days had turned to good days because I've watched an episode of Martin Lawrence. I'm getting all teary-eyed. I'm getting all choked up, y'all. So I really enjoyed The Roommate that didn't contribute, that story, because that's true. A lot of people, find themselves in those situations. I like the dynamic between SZA and Kiki because it was real. She went outside, you know what I'm saying? She messed up that job interview. And they both got beat up. They both got beat up. And then the church's chicken thing. Real people, real black folk, gonna go to somebody's Church's Chicken, KFC chicken establishment somewhere. And this is like the only movie I can think of where they actually did that. It was like, it wasn't watered down. It wasn't zhushed up. You know what I'm saying? Where we all trying to live bougie or whatever. I know there's black people that are well to do and they live, they live really well. But most people, they want a movie they can relate to.